Qatar-led negotiations between Israel and Hamas continue. White House preps for broader war as concerns rise. Hundreds of thousands rally across cities to support Palestinians. Protesters seeking Gaza ceasefire shut New York's Grand Central. Musk says Starlink will provide Gaza connectivity for aid groups. China's foreign minister says road to Biden-Xi summit will not be smooth. World leaders beg Taylor Swift to bring Eras Tour to their countries. Friends TV show star Matthew Perry dead at 54.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Monday, October 30th, and here are your top stories. A source briefed on the negotiations said Qatar mediated negotiations between Israel and Hamas aimed at de-escalating fighting in Gaza continued last Saturday, even as Israel intensified its assault on the enclave. The source told Reuters talks have not broken down, but are taking place at a much slower pace than before the escalation from last Friday evening. Qatar, a tiny but wealthy energy and investment powerhouse, has a direct line of communication with Hamas, which has a political office in Doha.
Qatar has been conducting behind-the-scenes diplomacy for more than 3 weeks, speaking to Hamas officials in Israel to promote peace and secure the release of more than 200 hostages that Hamas and other armed groups are holding in Gaza. Qatar's mediation last week led to the release of 2 American hostages, a mother and daughter, and 2 elderly Israeli women. In the past, Qatari envoys have helped mediate truces between the Islamist group and Israel.
U.S. and Israeli officials told Axios that the Biden administration is preparing for the possibility the Israel-Hamas war will expand across the Middle East. A senior Israeli official said that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Israeli Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, discussed the issue on a call last Friday. The discussions over the war's potential to expand also come after U.S. forces conducted airstrikes on 2 facilities in eastern Syria used by groups linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced last Saturday that Israeli ground forces had entered Gaza. U.S. President Biden sent a message directly to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warning him not to target U.S. troops in the Middle East. U.S. administration officials believe that the key to preventing the conflict from escalating is to send clear messages to Iran and Hezbollah to stay out of it. Some officials continue to believe that diplomacy can still help prevent worst-case scenarios.
Hundreds of thousands of demonstrators rallied in cities in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia last Saturday to show support for Palestinians as Israel's military widened its air and ground offensive on the Gaza Strip. In one of the biggest marches, which took place in London, aerial footage showed large crowds marching through the center of the capital to demand that the government of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak call for a ceasefire. One protester said, "This is not about Hamas, this is about protecting Palestinian lives."
Elsewhere in Europe, people took to the streets of Copenhagen, Rome, and Stockholm. In France, despite a ban in Paris, a small rally took place last Saturday. Several hundred people also marched in the southern city of Marseille. In New Zealand's capital, Wellington, thousands of people holding Palestinian flags and placards reading, "Free Palestine," marched to Parliament House. In Malaysia, a large crowd of demonstrators chanted slogans outside the U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur.
The New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority said last Friday that Grand Central Terminal, one of New York City's major transit hubs, was forced to close as hundreds of protesters demanded a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The MTA said on its website, Grand Central Terminal is closed until further notice due to a protest. One banner raised inside the building read, "Mourn the dead and fight like hell for the living," with protesters pouring out of the train station and onto 42nd Street in Midtown Manhattan.
The group Jewish Voice for Peace, which organized the demonstration, posted a video on Instagram showing police in the station escorting a long line of protesters, who were wearing shirts reading, "Cease fire now," and, "Not in our name," with their arms secured behind their backs. The group wrote in the post, "Hundreds of Jews and allies are getting arrested in what is likely the biggest mass civil disobedience NYC has seen in 2 decades. Videos on social media showed a large crowd was detained by law enforcement.
Elon Musk said last Saturday that SpaceX's Starlink will support communication links in Gaza with internationally recognized aid organizations, prompting Israel's communication minister to say Israel would fight the move. Musk said in a post on X that it was not clear who has authority for ground links in Gaza. A telephone and internet blackout isolated people in the Gaza Strip from the world and from each other last Saturday.
Fox News reported Musk made the claim in response to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who criticized Israel for its decision to cut all communications in Gaza. Musk wrote on social media platform X on Saturday that Starlink will support connectivity to internationally recognized aid organizations in Gaza. Musk has made the Starlink satellite communication system available on a number of occasions to help provide internet access and connectivity to areas impacted by war and natural disasters.
China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi met U.S. President Joe Biden and his top aides in Washington in recent days, agreeing to work together toward the expected bilateral meeting on the sidelines of an Asian-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum summit. But in remarks last Saturday, Wang cautioned the road to the summit would not be a smooth one and traveling there would not be on autopilot, in a reference to an expected meeting between Biden and China's President Xi Jinping.
China's foreign ministry said Sunday in a statement that Wang Yi was speaking after a discussion with members of the U.S. strategic community in Washington. Wang said China and the U.S. needed to return to Bali, referring to the last meeting between Biden and Xi, on the sidelines of a Group of 20 summit on the Indonesian resort island last November. Last month, China's top security agency suggested that any Biden-Xi meeting in San Francisco hinged on the U.S., showing sufficient sincerity.
World leaders have backed Taylor Swift to bring her tour to their countries after the $5.7 billion boost it has given the U.S. economy. Politicians from 5 countries, including Chile and Canada, have asked the pop star on social media to include them in the list of destinations for the next part of her Era tour. The first U.S. leg of Swift's tour is estimated to have boosted the U.S. economy by an estimated $5.7 billion through consumer spending, including ticket sales, merchandise, accommodation, travel, and much more.
Finance analysts are describing this as the T-Swift lift, and are forecasting a similar effect on the UK economy next summer. Gabriel Boric, president of Chile and self-proclaimed Swiftie, begged the pop star to play in his country. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau left a message to one of Swift's tweets, saying, "It's me, hi. I know places in Canada would love to have you." Just under a month after Trudeau's message, she announced 6 shows in Toronto next November.
Actor Matthew Perry, who gained fame in the 1990s as the wisecracking Chandler Bing in the top-rated U.S. television comedy Friends, and more recently by chronicling his decades-long battle with substance abuse in a memoir last year, died last Saturday at age 54. His death was confirmed in a statement posted by NBC, the broadcast network that aired Friends for 10 years, on X. NBC Entertainment said, "We're incredibly saddened by the too soon passing of Matthew Perry."
NBC Entertainment said, "He brought so much joy to hundreds of millions of people around the world with his pitch-perfect comedic timing and wry wit. His legacy will live on through countless generations." The Los Angeles Times and TMZ.com, both citing unnamed law enforcement sources, reported that the American-Canadian performer was found dead in a hot tub or jacuzzi. NBC News reported the actor was found dead of an apparent drowning at his home in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles.
The answer for yesterday was B, invoked. Claire's close resemblance to his older sister invoked a deep dislike in him. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Friends TV show star Matthew Perry dead at 54. Number 1, wisecracking. 满嘴俏皮话，满嘴风凉话的。Despite the serious topic of the debate, John couldn't resist inserting a wisecracking remark to lighten the mood. Number 2, chronicle. 把什么编入， 编年史，按事件发生顺序记载。Her achievements are chronicled in a new biography out this week. Number 3, memoir. 有指名人的回忆录自传。It's a short memoir about his years of long-distance running. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.